that came across as kind of loud. Do I need to tweak that? Probably. Nudge that down a smidge. Welcome back to another installment of Fraggoth Reads. I'm your intrepid narrator, Fraggoth, and today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to be narrating Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips's Criminal. Coward, the installment is entitled. It is 5 issues long. There are a bunch of criminal comic miniseries by Brubaker and Phillips. They're all pretty good. Highly recommend if you're into crime noir. Let's see. Anything? So this is going to be a tad experimental, and I'm going to have to figure stuff out along the way. I've done something like this a little bit before, but this is me dipping my toe back into it. Right now I have it set so that it'll be in, I think I have it as double pages. No, I have it as single pages. Double page spreads should appear thusly. Otherwise there'll be the gray border. I can try and see if there's anything I can do to tweak that. Oh, I can change the background color to be jet black, I guess. Oh, you can't see any of that. That's interesting. Come on. What's that on for a color? Can I set it to default? There, that's probably better. Not noticing anything weird there. We'll stick with that for now. So yeah, this is a story about a guy who is, believe it or not, a criminal, and how he gets kind of involved in how he lives his life, basically, among other things, but also a gripping story, and a fairly thrilling narrative. This will be a bit more visual than most of my other streams. I'll probably let each page hang around a little longer than I otherwise would. I'll try and pace myself accordingly. We will see how this goes, and we'll figure it out. It'll be a learning experience for all of us. I figure I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks at the end of this week, so why not do something weird? So this is Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, from the writer of Daredevil and the artist of Marvel Zombies. Coward by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. I just forgot that I'm not recording. I should probably do that. There we go. Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It is not going to do it unless I have the mouse on this window. Got it. Coward by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. Part 1 of 5. Prologue. Whenever things begin to fall to pieces, I think of my father. Not him and Ivan in the early days, working the crowds. No, I think of the big jobs, when I'd hear him and his friends arguing in the basement. Hearing plans going off the rails, hearing glass breaking, hearing death in the voices of the men he was working with. Then, me and Ricky Lawless, we'd escape into the night, into the back streets. Junkyard dogs at our heels. The night air full of possibility and fear. But we didn't care. We were kids. We had no rules. Not society's for damn sure. Rules came later, after my father went away for breaking his own. That's when Ivan explained it to me, about the rules and how they protect you. Sometimes, even from yourself. You learn these rules over time through hard experience, and you never write them down, but you never forget them. They're the rules that will keep you out in the world. Safe. They're what separates a professional from a punk slash pimp slash gangsta slash lowrider with a gun. Those idiots are cannon fodder for the system. But someone who follows the rules, who understands how to stay safe, will never rot to death in a 4x5 cement room. Sometimes I tell people about the rules and they ask what I'm so scared of. And I tell them, I'm scared of ending up like my father. Scared of dying where I most likely belong, in prison. But the way I see it, if you aren't scared in our line of work, then you just aren't thinking. And I won't work with people who don't use their brains before their bullets. As a rule, at least. "5 years later, the city. Ooh, that guy? Yeah, with the hair. I'm not seeing it. Look closer. Nope, no way. Where's his handoff? Doesn't have one. He works alone? Like I said, he's good. No one's that good. Leo is. Yeah, we'll just see. He already made you. Look. Son of a bitch. These are very low on sound effects, so at least I don't have to worry about that. Hey, you. Hold it. Yeah? Police. Grab a wall, asshole. Did I do something? Grab the fucking wall. This must be a mistake, officer. You like those teeth? Then shut up. You're wasting your time, Jeff. He dumped it all inside. I told you he was good. Hello, Leo. Fucking Seymour. This guy even a real cop? Yeah, he is. Let's take a walk. What the hell is this, Leo? What the hell? Sorry, wrong character. What the hell is this, Leo? These wallets are practically empty. But you know rich people don't carry cash. That's how they stay rich. So what are you up to? Like I'm gonna tell you and Captain Badge here. He's more like Captain Beatdown, actually. And unless you want me to cave in your skull, answer the fucking question. It's not about how much cash they're carrying, Seymour. It's about identity theft. Tourists never have more than a few hundred, but those people, I can get 1,000 pop for their cards and ID. See, Jeff, he's always thinking. What do you want, Seymour? I'm putting together a team. I'm out of that line of work. Because of the Salt Bay job? What do you think? I think you and me were the only smart people there that day, which is why we need you. Even if I was still working, you know I don't work with cops, no matter how bent they are. Just hear me out. This is big time, and it's easy picking. Or it will be for you. I'm listening, but the answer won't change. Not even for 5 million in diamonds. Yeah? And what diamonds are ever easy picking? One's in a police evidence van on the way to court. That's why Jeff is here. It's his score. But I need you. I need your eyes. You must have lost your mind in the last 5 years, Seymour. I'll look for your suicide by cop in the papers. Now, can I have my shit back? Fuck off. Fine, whatever. Look, just think about it. Give it a day. This is real. And inside help from a guy like Jeff is the only way to work it. I'll see you, Seymour. The fuck was that? Should've let me hit him. Nah, he'll come round. Don't worry. I got a backup plan. Seymour was a smart guy, but he was a gambler, too. He played the odds on his scores, figuring the take was usually worth the risk. That's why I steered clear of him. Gamblers got you rich, or they got you killed. The last job I worked with Seymour, people died. Not really his fault, but still, it was his score. And his face was the last thing I needed to see. His goddamn ghoulish grin, his smug cop buddy. I guess he forgot what the cops in this city had done to most of our friends. But I'd never forget. I could still see them on the empty bar stools at the Undertow, in the faces of their widows and children. They'd been yanked out of this world so easily, and the holes they left behind, in life, in memory, in dreams. Those wounds were scars that'd be easier to hide, but they were scars all the same. No, I didn't need to see Seymour's face, and I didn't need his easy score. I had enough trouble of my own to deal with. No! Not one more day! Do you know what the little perv did to me? He took my underwear, just made them disappear. Ivan? What? They're right here. Listen, I'm really sorry about this. I know he's a lot to handle sometimes. Sometimes he should be in a straitjacket. That probably wouldn't do much good. I don't even want to tell you how I realized he'd pantsed me. I know, okay? But he's a sick old man. Just stay another week until I can find someone else. I'm sorry, Leo. He's just too much. He should be in a home, one with all male nurses. I can't afford that. Not the kind of place he'd need, with his quirks. Then you need to get him clean, Leo. But whatever you do, you'll have to find someone else for tomorrow. 'Cause if he touched me again, I'm afraid I'd kill him. I'm afraid I'll kill him. Nice, Ivan. Real nice. What did I do, Tommy? Nothing. Let's just get you to bed. Your show's coming on. Should cut that long hair, Tommy. Attract too much attention from the blue. I will. Tomorrow. I promise. Tommy was my dad, but he'd been dead a long time. Back before Ivan got lost in his junk habit. Before Alzheimer's came and took him even further away. I wouldn't know how to get him clean now, even if I wanted to. It'd be torture, and he'd have no idea why it was happening. But he burns through private nurses like nobody's business. He thinks he's 30 years old, so he's constantly trying to bang them. It's almost funny, but it's not. Yeah?
Do you remember me, asshole? Remember Terry Watson?
Terry Watson. What do you want, Greta?
I want to be able to get my daughter out of this city, Leo, so she can have a real life.
Did I miss the first part of this conversation? Jesus.
Somebody trying to send me things. I need you to stop. Don't do it! Cease and desist, my God!
Sorry, give me a sec. There we go. Hopefully that will stop it. Did I miss the first part of this conversation?
Seymour's job. He says he needs you to make it work, and you're being a punk.
Let's take a walk.
It's raining.
It'll be a short walk.
Would you slow down a little?
How'd you find my room? Does Seymour know where I live?
Grow a brain. If Seymour knew where to find you on his own, he wouldn't need me. Would he?
That's how they knew I'd be at the Modern? You've been following me?
I'm only in on this job because I promised I could find you. Took some effort, though, I'll give you that.
Damn it. I already told Seymour. He takes too many chances.
Bullshit. You're the one who shut me out. If I'd been in Salt Bay that day, I wouldn't be a single mother.
I told you then I don't work with junkies. It's a rule.
Fuck your rules. I've been sober for fucking years. I had a baby, asshole. I had kicked.
No one ever really kicks.
They're right what they say about you, aren't they? Terry always said it was bullshit, but they're right. And he paid for that.
Two hours later, against my better judgment, I'm walking into the Undertow. The jukebox hasn't changed since the last time I was here. Hell, it hasn't changed since the first time I was here, and I was 8 years old then. It's the same smoky crooners and depressives that make a dark bar room even darker. There's the loudest door through 3 walls. Gnarly's on duty, as usual. And as usual, he acts like I'm still a regular, but I haven't been here in years. Yo, kid, you read Frank today? Haven't seen the paper. Check it out. Classic. Frank Kafka, Private Eye. It never makes any goddamn sense. Frank Kafka, Private Eye, by Jacob K. This is crazy. How am I ever gonna find her? It had to be a mistake. A missing dame. And me, her only hope. But the only thing they give me is her name. H. Blub, blub. And 1 photo. It's got to be a mistake, but that never stopped me before. I don't get it. Yeah. So, what do you know, kiddo? How's Ivan holding up? Hell on wheels till he collapses. I hear you. Poor old bastard. The Undertow was our place. The criminal element. It started as a speakeasy way back when, but after Prohibition, it had never lost its roots. It was also considered a safe zone. You could even find blood enemies side by side at the bar most nights, and only on rare occasions did anything get out of hand. And it was usually some virgin who didn't realize where the hell he was. Or that he'd never be coming back. You seen Donnie around lately? The spaz? Yeah. Nah, he comes in days, I think, on Denby's shift. Heard he's been working the ale most nights, cleaning up with that spaz act. He really is epileptic, Gnarly. Probably why he can fake it so good. I'll check out the trains. I'll check out the trains. Tell Denby if he sees him before I do to get in touch. Sure, Leo. You're taking orders from that son of a bitch? You know less than shit about him. I know what I hear. You're about to hear me crack your skull. You keep that up. Hey, I didn't mean nothing. I was just talking. I couldn't find fuck all on your supposed super thief. Just didn't add up, you know? That he wouldn't be in the system at all? No way. Jeff, I vouched for him. You don't need to. So I looked a generation back, and boy did I get a history lesson. You know who this asshead's dad was? Tommy Patterson. No wonder he can work a crowd like that. Probably grew up doing it. Tommy and his partner Ivan ran the best pickpocket crew this city ever saw. Yeah, I know. But it says here Tommy died 15 years ago, shanked in the showers upstate, convicted of killing Teague Lawless. I know all that too. I knew his dad. What's your point? That either this guy's as good as you said, or you've been holding back on me. Which is it? It's both, actually. He is good. The best. but there's a reason he's never been caught. Leo is a coward. He doesn't just walk away from trouble, he runs. And as good as he is at seeing holes in security and mapping out scores, he's just that good at slipping away, too. That's one of the reasons we need him, Jeff. If you get my meaning. So then, you guys aren't exactly friends? Leo doesn't have any friends. Just that old man, Ivan, all smacked out and losing his mind. Maybe a few other guys, just as pathetic. Oh, God! This was Donnie's opening. He'd attract the crowd with the seizure.
Someone do Jesus, he's choking!
But the real act was what came next.
My God, are you okay? Oh, not again. Listen, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I've just had a seizure. And I need to go to the emergency room. Oh God, I'm homeless. I don't have insurance. The hospital won't see me unless I pay. It's $95 to get into the ER. Can any of you please help me? Just, please?
And they always did. Donnie claimed there were people who paid for that routine every time. He said it was something about the way he used his voice during the fit, that part of it just... that it just stabbed some part of their subconscious. And they'd forget they'd seen him pull this act again and again. Leo, what are you doing out among the monkey mass? Just watching, Donnie. You need a hand getting to that emergency room? Sure, let's walk. What's on your mind? How'd you like to go back to work again, Donnie? Real work.
With you? When do we start?
All right, fine. Whatever you say. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow. Right. So, what the fuck? Leo, he's in. I told you. I know this guy too well. Knew he could never say no to her. Yeah, well, fuck him then. You're calling him this time of night? Fuck yes. Oh, we want the funk. Give us the funk. Oh, we need the... What? No, I ain't sleeping or having my cob gobbled. What you gotta say for yourself, Officer Cob Gobbler? Final pieces just fell into place. Thought you'd want to know. It's all on schedule. You best be, Jeff. You fuck this up, it ain't gonna be no, oh, I can fix it shit. I want my shit back, all of it, or I put a bullet in you, your partners, and anyone else gets in the way. Sorry, Nelty, how to take that. Now, where were we?
A nefarious element in my crime-noir comic series? Unbelievable.
To be continued. So here's some of the back matter. What do we got? Yes. So their back matter is pretty good. They kind of do like miniature movie reviews on like crime noir stuff. On a bunch of these. So by Jake Gnarly Brown. Caught in the Undertow. When I was a lot younger, back in the days I thought I could do it all, after I won the Golden Gloves that year, I used to read a lot. Not trash like this, but serious books. Literature. You know, that highfalutin shit no one buys anymore because they all want to read about some asshole's failure in a memoir instead. Anyway, some of the stuff I read stuck in my mind so much that no amount of blows I took to the head ever knocked them loose. And the night of... Oh, and some of these are also, like, character retrospectives. They have a bit of both. This one is character retrospective. So I'm going to I have to get into character. I forgot this was gnarly. Caught in the Undertow by Jake Gnarly Brown. When I was a lot younger, back in the days I thought I could do it all. After I won the Golden Gloves that year, I used to read a lot. Not trash like this, but serious books. Literature. You know, that highfalutin shit no one buys anymore, because they all want to read about some asshole's failure in a memoir instead. Anyway, some of the stuff I read stuck in my mind so much that no amount of blows I took to the head ever knocked them loose. And the night of Ricky Lawless's wake, I found myself remembering a line from Delmore Schwartz. In this our life there are no beginnings, but only departures entitled beginnings, wreathed in the formal emotions, thought to be appropriate and often forced. Fakes. Phonies. That's what I saw that night looking around the Undertow. Old Delmore, a tragic figure in his own right, got that down, but he was off on the other part, about beginnings. Some departures are beginnings, just for the people left behind. Because none of the saps in here that night, all of Ricky's friends, lovers, and the enemies that outnumbered them, had any clue what Ricky's dying would mean, what it would spark off. No, they just sat around toasting the things they liked about the poor son of a bitch, pretending it was a tragedy beyond all control, when in reality, it was anything but. The jukebox that night spilled out a slow remembrance of a guy Rick Lawless could have been, instead of who he was. Mallory sat at the bar, quietly smoking and downing shot after shot, seemingly to no effect. She looked up at me, almost said something, then looked back down. I put another shot in front of her, raised her chin, and said, "I know, girl," which was less than nothing, but it was true. She nodded back, her eyes catching mine for a second, and raised the shot to her lips. Then, right as she slammed the shot glass back onto the bore, Leonard Cohen's voice came floating across the room from the jukebox. "I love you in the morning, our kisses deep and warm." And I saw the tears finally start. She didn't make any noise, though, just kept on drinking as her tears flowed down over her cheeks and lips, drip, 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 onto my bar. Not long before she passed out, she said, "He was a bastard, you know that, right? But when he was still asleep, those moments right before he woke up, you could see something, who he used to be, maybe, when he was a kid. He was honest right then, that one moment before he woke up. Then he was a bastard." That was the only non-phony thing that happened that night. With her head slumped to the bar, I carried her to the back room and put her on the couch under a blanket, safe. Then I went out and watched the rest of the crowd go through the motions, doing the same myself, thinking about Delmore Schwartz and wondering where the hell I put that book. By closing time, it was like any other night. Alright, now let's try opening up the second issue and see if it cooperates. I think it's going to be annoying, but let's find out. Oh, wait. Aha! Yes! Science! There we go. Much better. Alright. Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Coward, Part 2 of 5 by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. I think this might be from... because they have some trade hardcovers that collect a lot of the issues together. The files are not organized quite the same way, so I'm thinking these are the digitally released ones. I can't remember. Anyway. 4 days later. "I'm gonna run and get more coffee. We're working, Seymour. This is why we need it. We're on a clock here. It takes 2 seconds. Get out of that seat and I walk, I swear to God." "All right. Jesus, Leo. Not like we haven't done this the last 3 days. They always take the same route. And that's why today is different. Read the paper if you're bored. I'm working. Fine. All right, Seymour, we're on. Frank Kafka, Private Eye. I'd be knocking on doors for days, asking the same questions. You know a woman, name of H, shoulder-length black hair, about yay tall? Then, the G-men showed up. Hello, Frank. What's this I hear? You're asking around about some dead broad? Dead? I never said, it's just like last time, Frank. You don't know what you're doing, do you? For the record, I absolutely adore... They do this through a bunch of the different series, where they'll have Frank Kafka, Private Eye, as a thing. We eventually meet the creator. But it's a fun one. I just adore the kind of meta gimmick of kind of making fun of newspaper comic strips, where if you like, with something like the Phantom, for instance, or those old Spider-Man ones, or Star Wars, I think even had one at one point, so many, where if you like only tune in infrequently, they just make no sense at all, none of them. So it's cute. It's a little in joke. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't, and that's okay. All right, Seymour, we're on. The target is moving. Hand me your cell. You don't have a cell phone? No. And that's on principle, isn't it? I mean, not like you can't grab one. Cell phones are annoying. Now give me yours. Every day at 4:30 p.m., the van left the evidence storage facility and drove 2 miles to the downtown courthouse. They delivered evidence for trial the next day, which needed to be processed before it could be presented in court. Seymour and his crooked cop buddy Jeff were right. The transport van was the weak link. Because no one ever knew what it was carrying, so who was going to take down a police transport vehicle on the outside chance of a big score? Not even junkies were that desperate. But we had an inside man, and knew that in 2 days this van would be carrying $5 million in diamonds. Blood diamonds, smuggled from Africa, and seized in a jewelry store raid a few years back. The accused were finally getting their day in court, and their lawyer was smart enough to demand all evidence be present. Great way to influence a jury. Show them what 5 million gems looks like and ask what they'd do in the defendant's place. Except, these diamonds would never make it to that courthouse. That's Dunny. What's he doing? The transport van is a set route. So, what happens when they can't take it? Hey, move it, asshole! You move it! Go around! Jesus, that twitchy freak's got brass ones down there. And check it out, Seymour. Where does the evidence van detour to? Jackson Street Tunnel. And at rush hour, practically. Yep. Call your cop. We've got our plan. Who the hell is this? Someone I hired. A professional. Who the fuck are they? My partners. Best backup in town if there's a need. There isn't. Get them out of here. Now. What did you just say to me? Say it again, pussy. Jesus, what the fuck? Guys. Listen up, Seymour. Listen up. Seymour may say you're in charge here, but I found this job. I call my own shots. Jeff, take it easy. Your guys are in. It's cool. Right, Leo? Sure. Whatever. But I'm placing them. Go ahead. You're the big brain, right? The man with the plan. I just want to know who's watching my back. If this all goes tits up. It won't. The plan is watertight, as long as everyone follows it. Then what's this Seymour tells me about some no guns deal? We don't need them, so why the hell should we bring them? Maybe because we're going up against armed cops? And you want us to shoot them? Aren't they your brothers? Look, this is not negotiable. There will be no guns on this job, period, or I leave right now. Jesus fuck, Seymour told me about you, but I didn't think you really had no nuts at all. As a cop, you should know this, but prisons are full of assholes who valued their own lives only slightly more than other people's. And I'm not ending up on death row because some moron listened to too much hip-hop growing up. If that says something about me, then fine. I'm here for one reason only, to get us all paid. Now, do you want to get paid? Or am I wasting my time? I want to get paid. I just don't want to have my ass hanging in the wind. It won't be, Jeff. It won't be, Jeff. Just hear the man out. So, we all settled on that? Yeah, no guns. Let's go through the rundown. Okay. First, we pair up. Greta and Red will stage the breakdown here.
Leo, hold on.
What's up?
You know those bastards are gonna try to screw us, right? That's why he's bringing his whole crew in.
Yeah, I know. I know. They'll try to grab the diamonds or fuck us out of our end. Something.
So what do we do?
Watch our backs. Unless you want out.
No, I need this. My Angie, she's got medical stuff. I can't afford it. My mom pitches in what she can, babysits while I try to earn. But I'm sinking here, Leo.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So what's our backup plan then?
Our backup plan? Since when did you and I become a team?
I'm the reason you're in this, asshole, and you know it. Don't you try and fuck me over, too.
Just follow the plan, Greta. I'm not going to let anything happen to you or the take.
And I'm just supposed to take that on faith and do nothing?
Look, if you want to help, find out what you can about Jeff and his boys. One crooked cop is bad enough. 3 could be a nightmare. But with the job a day away, I knew there was no time left to dig up anything that'd make a difference. We'd already rolled the dice, and now we had to wait and see how they came up. If I'd taken the time to do it myself earlier, if I'd known Jeff and Seymour would be bringing in more men, maybe things would have gone differently. But I was distracted. You sure, Gnarly?
Yeah, no problem. Don't sweat it.
Just need someone I can trust, you know? It'll be a day, maybe 2 at the most, just in case.
Look, Dagmar loves Ivan, kiddo, so it's not a problem.
Well, she hasn't had to deal with him lately. Just tell her to slap him if he gets out of line. But thanks. Hopefully after this, I can get him some real help.
What are you doing? Stop that!
But I thought we were working.
Not on the street.
Ma'am, I think you dropped this.
Oh, well, that's my... But how did I...
Come on, Ivan, we're gonna be late. Greta claimed they didn't know where I lived, but if she could find me, it didn't feel safe enough. And I wasn't leaving Ivan and some day nurse at the mercy of whoever came knocking because of this job.
Giving away free money. You'll never do that. What are we, marks?
Of course we're not, but we're on a mission right now.
What mission?
Looking for the richest man in the city.
Sebastian Hyde? On the subway? I don't think so, Leo.
Okay, how about the man who's carrying the most cash, then?
Think you can spot him? Kill me now if I can't.
Little mental tasks, the doctors said. Try to keep him focused. They work sometimes, and they calm him long enough to get him across town. I worry more than I should. He's been in the game since he was 8, weaving through the crowds on the carnival grounds where he was raised. But if he got caught, it would be worse than a nightmare. Watching his eyes on the crowd, though, you can see he's still the best. If I let him, no one would be leaving this train with a dime in their pockets. Those little sparks of who he used to be make all the difference, but they cut both ways. This is our stop, Ivan.
Sure, where are we?
Sorry. Keep meaning to leave it for like 5 seconds after each page, and I keep forgetting. The job. Here's the thing. Most heists, even good ones, are like a house of cards. One minor detail goes wrong, and they collapse all around you. But I planned for contingencies. I orchestrated. So my scores begin with a well-placed distraction for the police. This time it was Donnie leaving a suspicious package in a Jewish deli on Broadway. We good?
Let's hit it. They got a picture of the mayor in there taking a bite out of a pickle.
I know. That's why I chose it. It's popular with the jerks at City Hall. So the cops will be extra careful and waste lots of manpower.
Gotta love the war on terror, huh?
Yep. Only winners are the thieves. Seymour did what he always did best, keeping the clock and calling go times. The moment the evidence transport turned its first corner, he was on the phone to 911 reporting a bomb threat at the deli we'd just left. By the time they got to our staged breakdown, nearly every squad car in the city would be racing to the other side of downtown. And when they pulled into the Jackson Street tunnel, thanks to careful timing and Seymour's watchful eye, they were pulling in right behind me and Donnie.
Okay, how about this one? You will drink the black sperm of my vengeance.
Too easy. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Greta and Red would be 2 or 3 cars behind them, having released the jack and raced back around. And Jeff's partners were creating a traffic jam 20 yards ahead. Next to an abandoned car that Donnie and I had placed 30 minutes earlier. Out of gas, please don't tow. A few days back, we had timed it twice. The city took at least an hour to tow a car blocking a lane in the tunnel.
Once upon a time in the West?
Not even close. And with Seymour and Jeff in the getaway car nearby, monitoring police traffic.
All clear, Leo. They just cordoned off 6 blocks of Broadway. Bomb squad and everything.
Right. It was time to move.
Help me! Something's wrong! My friend is dying! Hey! Hey! You're a cop! You know CPR! Help him! Jesus, look at that fucking guy!
Just go. We're stuck in traffic anyway.
The fuck is his problem? Everyone started honking their horns and he just freaked out. Jesus, you gotta make sure he ain't eating his own tongue and then...
I need backup now. Jackson Street Tunnel. Officer down. Sons of bitches, you...
Catch.
We're in. What's our time like?
Squad cars are on the way, but they're 2 minutes out at least. You got the evidence number? You're looking for a metal briefcase.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Hey, something's wrong. This briefcase isn't...
Leo, check it.
Idiots! I said no guns! Police, freeze.
Donnie! What the hell? Cops! Fucking cops!
Police, drop your weapons.
Fuck!
No.
Suddenly, our getaway route is cut off by cops responding to an officer down call. Cops who should have been at the bomb threat that Seymour had clearly not called in. I'd underestimated him and Jeff. I thought they'd try to screw us after the job, not during.
Damn it. Hey, cop.
We need to go. Can you move?
Does bleeding count?
Come on, you can do it.
Ah, Jesus. Ow. Ow.
They've got the case. Shoot 'em. Freeze. Screw you. Fuck.
What are you doing? They're getting away!
Lucky for me, I'd always had my own way out of here. It was just about the only rule I hadn't broken. Never go into a score with only one exit. And there was a reason I'd chosen this exact car model. Because it could go on roads the police couldn't follow me down. Shop-filled alleyways meant for walking, not driving. But the hell with that. Those were someone else's rules.
Oh, bleeding pretty bad, Leo. Jesus, it hurts.
Just hang on. You're going to be fine.
My daughter can't leave Angie. This...
Greta, you're not dying on me. Do you hear me?
It's not diamonds, Leo. The score wasn't diamonds.
Son of a bitch. To be continued. Yes, okay. The reason Leo made his getaway in a Cooper Mini is a nod to one of the funniest and most inventive heist films of all time, The Italian Job, starring Michael Caine. But it's also because Sean's wife Jeanette drives one. Not on heists so far, though, and it's the handiest car reference he can find. I'd have asked for a Mini anyway, though, I swear. Another interesting note about our first story, Coward, is that the character of Donnie, who met his demise a few pages back, sadly, was actually inspired by a con woman who used to work the BART system in San Francisco. I witnessed her act a number of times. Eventually, her cover was blown, and it turned out she was raking in cash and living in a nice apartment downtown. I've always loved inventive spare changers, which the Bay Area had a lot of. If I had run into that security guard who needed $15 to catch the train to his job one more time on Shattuck Avenue in the early 90s, I would have paid him just to hear the true story. It probably would have been less interesting than his lies, though. I'll skip the letter call. Okay, this one is one of his movie review type things. An Appreciation by Ed Brubaker. Out of the Past. Phenomenal movie, by the way, and you should absolutely go see it. like, stop what you're doing, go onto the Criterion channel and watch Out of the Past. It's so good. Anyway, on to An Appreciation by Ed Brubaker on Out of the Past. For years, since I first saw it in a theater in 1989, if you asked me to name my favorite films, Out of the Past would have been at the top of the list, if not in the number one slot. I've ceased having a list of favorite films, probably because it's a bit of a Sophie's choice getting it under a top 10 or 20 these days. I know that feeling. But Out of the Past still ranks as the finest noir film I've ever seen. It also has the distinction of containing my second favorite performance by Robert Mitchum, my favorite being his truly terrifying role in Night of the Hunter. Another good one you should probably take the time to watch. But in Out of the Past, Mitchum plays the good guy, and a more noir good guy you'd be hard-pressed to find. His character, Jeff Markham, is a private eye that isn't too clean to take a job from a gambler-slash-mobster, played by Kirk Douglas, that he's got some kind of sordid... That must be sordid, S-O-R-D-I-D it's supposed to say, but something got screwed up there. That he's got some kind of sordid history with. And when the job turns out to be tracking a beautiful woman halfway around the world to Acapulco, he's not too good a guy not to fall in love with her and run off, leaving an angry client and partner waiting behind in the States. That's just one small reason that I love this film. The good guy is a shady character who thinks with his dick instead of his wallet, when confronted with the beautiful mystery that is Katie Moffat. Katie Moffat, played brilliantly by Jane Greer, but we'll get to her later. The first thing that really grabbed me about the movie was the way it was structured. It opens with Jeff living under an assumed name, running a gas station in a small town outside Reno, and dating the woman who runs the local diner. He's making an attempt at living the clean life and one under the radar, which is highlighted by the fact that his best friend is a deaf mute. But almost immediately, someone who knew Jeff in his previous life stumbles across his trail, and things begin to get complicated. We learn how complicated in a long flashback sequence where Jeff tells his current girl, Anne, the Betty to Katie Moffat's Veronica, of his fall from, well, somewhere a bit further down the ladder than Grace, at least. The flashback almost unfolds like a dream through the direction of Jacques Tourneur and cinematography of Nicolas Musuraca, with Mitchum's pot smoker drawl narrating his hunt for the vixen who shot a man and ran away with a pile of his cash. When he finally meets her, it's never exactly explained why he gives up his task and takes up with her. It needs no explanation, though, because every single time I've watched it, I've understood. He had to have her, and in his place, I'd probably have felt the same way. And that is really the heart of what I find fascinating in this film. The story of Jeff and Kathy falling for each other and going on the run for a few years until ultimately their love tears them apart and ends in murder is just a vehicle, as far as I'm concerned, to explore the complete, utter, and incomprehensible desperation of Kathy Moffat. Kathy has often been called the ultimate femme fatale, but to me, she's so much more than that. Because I can understand Barbara Stanwyck's motives in Double Indemnity. She wants out of her loveless marriage, and she wants to be rich. But Kathy Moffat remains an enigma. Why is Kathy doing any of the things she's doing? What made her so alone and afraid she'll turn on almost anyone, even trying to murder people she loves? It's that beautiful, chaotic desperation that elevates Kathy Moffat and Out of the Past to a level most noir films never achieve. Early on, when Jeff and Kathy are revealing their truths to each other, she tearfully tells him that Whit, Kirk Douglas, has lied and that she never took his money. You have no idea whether to believe her or not, but Mitchum, in possibly the single finest moment of his career, just mumbles, "Baby, I don't care," and leans in for a kiss that will take him all the way to hell and back. And it's a kiss I fully understand, because Kathy is a fragile thing at that moment, vulnerable yet sexy, and sharp as a whip on top of it. In short, she's not just a femme fatale, she's also the original fucked up girlfriend. The kind that breaks your heart, but that you can never say no to, even when you know that you should. Kathy's only motive appears to be survival, and yet with Jeff, she finds both happiness and passion as well. That she's willing to give the latter up for the former is her undoing, but it's a peculiar kind of human failure, and one again which comes from desperation. Long after any viewing of Out of the Past, I will find myself wondering what is really going on behind Kathy's wild eyes and where this desperation came from. We'll never know, but in post-World War II America, it's not hard to see why people would feel desperate to live, to feel passion, and to be free, even if they have to kill for it. There are many other reasons to watch Out of the Past, and I won't list them and ruin the movie any more than I already have. I do want to point out two small details that help make it great, though. Good noir often has an element of disability layered into it. It's symbolism and character all at once. The old man in the wheelchair who hires Bogart in The Big Sleep, the professor's sexual hang-ups in Asphalt Jungle, the reporter with two canes in Lady from Shanghai, the GI with shell shock in The Blue Dahlia, just to name a few off the top of my head. Noir is showing us a fractured world full of damaged people who nonetheless try to survive, but who mostly fail. And in sketching out that world, the camera never shies away from the symbolism of people crippled by war or disease. In fact, the camera loves them and uses them to flesh out the world around the main characters. The mute kid that Jeff Markham befriends fits that noir theme here, serving as both a supporting character and a symbol for Jeff's need to keep his past a secret. That alone would have been a great noir beat to hit, but the final stroke of genius of this film is that only the mute boy and the audience ever know the truth about Jeff and why he does the things he does. No one else in the film does, not even the girl who loves him. That silent pact between movie and viewer echoes long after the final credits have rolled. No need for that. And let's get the third one up. We might probably just bang the whole thing out. All 5 chapters. Why not? Why not? Could be funsies. Could be fun. These are going quicker than I thought they would. Largely because there's a lot less text than there is in, say, Finder, which I will get around to doing. I'd like to do at least the first major arc of Finder, or story of Finder, sometime this year. That is something like the better part of 300 pages in length, 250 to 300 pages in length, and there's, like, I don't know, probably 10 times the amount of text. So that will take us a fair amount of time to get through. Anyway, one sec. This air quality is really messing with me. Criminal, Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips. If I'm not giving enough time to appreciate the art, somebody please tell me in the comments and we'll tweak accordingly. Fortunately, if you're watching this after the fact, you can just pause it. Visual quality won't be phenomenal, but that's YouTube. Coward by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. Part 3. Greta dreams.
Ow! God damn! Stop! Stop tugging at me! Ah! Whoa! Pretty. Mama? Mama? My feet are wet. What did you do? Angie? What happened? Oh. Oh. Jesus. Hey. Ah, fuck!
Hey, take it easy. You'll rip your stitches.
How long was I out?
It's been about a day.
There was some kind of surgery?
Yeah, at a friend of the family's nearby. Guy was a field surgeon in Vietnam. Said he'd seen lots of worse bullet wounds than yours.
He doped me up.
Not a lot of choice on that, sorry. He had to operate, and you were screaming.
I'll live.
Yeah, you will.
I need to call my mom. Make sure Angie's okay. They don't know where I am.
I can't let you do that right now. It isn't safe.
Crunch.
Fuck it.
Leave him alone, Roy. God damn it. It's not his fault. Marvin, help the policeman remember who he talking to.
Crack.
Fuck you. Smack. Okay. Damn it. But we still got your man Delra on our walk. We may have lost the suitcase, but it didn't show up in court, did it? I ain't having you beat for that shit, Jeffy boy. But no one calls me Roy no more. Name be Roy L.T., and I'm gonna be the king of this town. And a king don't allow failure. Larry! You motherfucker! You didn't have to do that! That's right. I didn't have to. But I did it anyway. Know what else I don't have to do? Let your black cop ass walk out of here. I can get it back. I can find the guy. I knew you'd be saying that. But see, you've been fucking up left and right, Jeff. So like my trust has issues and shit. But you did get my lieutenant out of a spot. Spot he should have been kept clear of in the first place. But I'll give you your life for that. Now, let's you and him go find me my motherfucking Chiba. No, what? You want me to work with Delron? That's right, officer. He be my eyes, so don't let him see you fucking up. Or you be just like your partner. Dead, dead, dead. Boy, you really don't listen to doctor's orders, do you? I've been lying on my ass for 2 days, damn it. I need to call my mom, let her know I'm not dead, or worse. She has to have seen the news of the heist, and if there's a sketch of a woman, there isn't. It's been on the news, but they're keeping the details vague, and you and I haven't been fingered yet. Because we have the score. Yep, we have what they want. So where are we? What is this place? Someplace safe to wait out the storm. Thanks for being vague. Where's the phone? Greta, sit down. You're not thinking clearly. As far as Jeff and Seymour know, you might be dead. When I dragged you out of there, you were leaking a lot of blood. So, right now, your daughter is of no interest to them. You don't want to change that. Fuck. We really stepped in it this time, didn't we? Look, just be smart and sit tight here. I've got to go out for a while. Where are you going? To cover my own ass. Can you pick me up some cigarettes, at least? There was no two ways about it. I had blown it. I knew there was something off about this job, but I had gone ahead with it anyway. I hadn't thought far enough ahead, hadn't planned for all the angles, the things I was supposed to be so good at.
Still no leads in the daring daytime robbery of a police evidence van that left a police officer dead earlier this week. While authorities remain tight-lipped, sources indicate that among items taken in this heist was evidence from a high-profile drug trafficking case.
No shit, Sherlock. I checked the court docket and saw the diamond smuggling case was set for trial.
Then I heard him tell the singer there's a song my mama sung.
But I didn't try to find out who else was in the court that way.
Won't you sing it once before we move along?
I don't know that one. I trusted that greed was the prime motivator when it was only one of them. I read the whole situation wrong. I still didn't understand how, but I had. Bay City, 79 miles. Rest area. I'd gotten Donnie and Red killed, and maybe Greta and me too. Maybe none of us would get out of this alive. Thanks for coming. You weren't followed?
Nothing I could spot. You okay, kiddo?
I've seen better weeks. How was he?
Not too bad, so long as he's high. So, what do you need?
You've already done too much. I don't want to get you in my trouble, Gnarly.
It's no trouble for me, Leo.
There is one thing. If you could leak word that Greta didn't make it, it might take the pressure off a bit.
Okay, I'll put it in the right ears. And if you call if you need anything.
What I needed was a time machine to go back and not make all the same mistakes over again. But I'd probably make new ones that were just as bad.
Hey, Leo, there's a girl sleeping on the couch. A hot one. You getting some nookie out here?
Not asleep. Ow, fuck.
And she's got my kind of manners.
You must be Ivan.
Is this my new handler?
No, she's not. So get handling off your brain.
He beats me. But no one will listen because I've got Alzheimer's.
Oh, you poor thing.
Do not humor him, please. And Ivan, stop telling people that. It isn't funny.
She liked it.
Sure, but she's recovering from a gunshot. Now, let's get you to bed.
Okay. You got my kit?
Don't I always? Here.
Oh, thanks. Is that your parents'?
Yeah, this was my grandfather's farm. He put it into a trust for my mom because he didn't want my dad's name on it. So it's my home away when I need one.
How often is that?
I haven't been here since right after the Salt Bay job.
Right. So, Ivan, you just shot him up, right?
Don't ask me to explain.
I don't need to, but I can't have that around me. Not his stuff or the shit that was in that briefcase. Just hide them someplace good, please.
Sure, Greta.
How much was there in that case, anyway?
You don't want to know.
How much?
32 kilos.
Jesus fucking Christ. I knew it. The minute I grabbed that suitcase, I was just like, this thing weighs way too much.
What's a kilo of smack go for these days? Any idea?
Hard to say. Depends on purity. But the average is about 30 grand, I think.
That's over $900,000.
A lot more once it gets to the street.
Fuck.
This isn't just gonna blow over, is it?
No. We may be here a while. But everything blows over eventually. Yeah, well, you better be looking, Seymour. I got a week off 'cause Tom got killed in the robbery. But the bosses are bugging me about Larry. Want to hear from him. So I can't stay off their radar for much longer. I know. But you get paid when Royale gets his shit. Do not be whining at me. I don't care about your problems. You know who I'm working with on this? Yeah, and he's a fucking psycho. So find me an address, and soon.
Later, baby.
Bye, Delron. You come on back soon.
You keep that ass tight and I will. And how about your tight ass, Jeffy?
Fuck your mother. Shit, not even with your cock. Not even with your cock. Let's roll.
See? You just aim and squeeze. You aim and breathe and squeeze.
You're seriously okay for this?
Feels like someone's pinching me together inside, but it's not too bad. Try giving birth sometime.
Just being born was enough strain for me, thanks.
So you gonna shoot that or just play with it?
I have fired a gun before.
Yeah, I saw. You missed a guy 10 feet away. So here we are. Pathetic. You'd think a guy that good with his hands could do this.
Fuck you, that was close.
Close. Maybe we should get you a sword off. They probably aren't too hard to find out here.
There's one in the kitchen cupboard, actually, but no shells.
Let's get some then. We've been cooped up for days here anyway. Will Ivan be okay if we go to town for a while?
Yeah, he'll be out for a while after his, you know.
When is that?
Soonish.
Great. Is there a diner? I could kill for some pie. We could just give it back.
Sure, if we knew whose property it was in the first place.
Couldn't be too hard to find out.
But then there's the whole not getting killed angle. People like this, not exactly the kind I like to deal with. No respect for anything. No rules.
Yeah, that sounds like most of the drug dealers I ever knew. The way it was packaged, I've only seen bricks like that a few times. It's gotta be someone major, a first shipment from a new source or something. And it's probably uncut, which makes it even more valuable.
Damn, there's gotta be a way to get paid for this and still walk away.
Seriously?
I don't work for free. Not if I don't have to.
Is that one of your rules?
Do not mock the rules. You're only here because of them.
But no, it's more like
Ivan's law. You never give away free money.
He's a sweet old guy. But you know he tried to grab my ass at breakfast yesterday morning?
I'm shocked.
Bastard.
I owe him a lot. More than I can give him. He kept me out of the system after my dad went upstate.
Is that when he taught you what you do?
Nah, I picked that up from him and Dad when I was little. I think I was 8 when I did my first grab in a crowd.
Jesus, what kind of...
Hey, girl. I ain't seen you around here before.
How about you ditch the trouser part and have a drink with some men? Let me know if you see any, and I will.
Greta, gonna let your woman talk for you, boy? Look, we're just trying to mind our own business, not to start any trouble. Christ, what a fucking waste.
Wow, genuine bumpkins.
We better head back. Damn it, the feed store's closed, and we forgot the shotgun shells.
You weren't the slightest bit afraid of those guys, were you?
Those fools? No.
But you backed right down.
Yeah?
Why?
Because I'm afraid of other things, I guess. Violence just... it's got a ripple effect. You know that. And I try not to cause any ripples. My ego can take a few morons thinking they scared me.
You're different than I always thought you were.
People usually are.
Yeah, but usually it's a disappointment. Ow. Damn, that's ugly.
Hey, Ivan's down for the count. If you want to watch...
Hey!
Oh, shit, sorry. Fuck. I didn't...
No, it's okay. I was just trying to decide if my new scar was too hideous to show you.
No, scars just make your body more beautiful, Greta. The only ones I worry about are on the inside. And a passionate lovemaking scene later.
You're different.
She's different, not me. Fragile and tough all at once. But her touch is so soft I almost melt, and thoughts of our problems melt with me. At some point before we drift off, she whispers, "Tell me it's going to be okay." And I promise her it will be. I promise to find us a way out. And at the time, I think I even mean it.
Tommy, I need to fix. Where are you? Tommy! Oh, you've got something stashed around here. Bingo! And they say I'm losing it. Whoa! Jackpot!
This is a mistake. We don't even... Oh. This is a mistake. We don't even know if she's alive or dead. Just get out your fucking badge and follow my lead. Royale's getting sick of it. Sick of waiting, so it's time to shake the trees. They might not even be home. Think I've been arrested enough times to know why cops show up at the ass crack of dawn. Everyone's home.
What is the meaning of this? Do you know what time it is?
Yes, we do, ma'am. We're the police.
Oh!
Need to speak to you about your daughter, Greta. Could we come inside? To be continued. Maybe it's in your blood? My uncle was a screenwriter in Hollywood from the 1940s to the late 1970s. His name was John Paxton, and he was the real deal. Screenwriters Guild Awards, Oscar nominations, the works. He was tight with most of the Hollywood 10, having written Eddie Dmytrik's two big noir hits, Crossfire and Murder, My Sweet. But he lived through the blacklist without losing his career or naming names. When Uncle John died, my dream was to grow up to be an animator or a penciler. I hadn't realized I was a writer yet, and so I never got the chance to really absorb something useful from him or use his connections to get me a job. But my few vague childhood memories are of an older man who didn't have a lot good to say about Hollywood, and whose dream had been to design and build his own home. I remember him taking me and my brother up the street to see that house just days after a mudslide in the hills where they lived had wrecked it. The sense of time and despair that filled the air as he looked at mud that had flowed through the windows and filled the foundation of this half-constructed home may be something I added later, looking back, but I'm a writer, and that's what we do. Or maybe I got it from watching his movies, because they're filled with both those elements, as are much of great noir. I prefer The Big Sleep to Murder, My Sweet, but Chandler preferred Murder, My Sweet. He said it was the only time they got Marlowe right. All I know is that it was the first noir I can remember seeking out on my own, and it was probably the reason I fell so in love with the genre. But like the book it's based on, it's a beautiful mess. I think Crossfire is a stronger noir of Uncle John's movies, but here's the thing. I grew up knowing that Raymond Chandler preferred my uncle's version of his books. Before I even knew who Chandler was, I knew someone I was related to had made a movie out of one of his books. And I think that had a more profound effect on me than I knew. Because when you want to be a writer, or you think you have to be a writer, just knowing someone else who has done it makes it a lot easier. Because writing for a living is almost impossible to do, but I never realized that. My whole life, until I was making a meager living as a cartoonist, and then a better one as a writer, I always assumed at some point I could make it. Like most artists or writers, I'm a seesaw of ego and insecurity at my lowest, most fatal moments. It never... Oh, I just skipped a line. No wonder I'm confused. Like most artists or writers, I'm a seesaw of ego and insecurity, though not as steep either way as many I've known, but even at my lowest, most fatal moments, it never even occurred to me to give up. I truly think that's because I knew someone, I was related to someone, who had not only done it, but been great at it. So if he could do it, why couldn't I? And fucking A, I did, eventually. I was thinking about my uncle because not long ago, Mel and I took a trip to Kansas City, Missouri, which was my uncle's hometown, and one of the organized crime hubs of this country during the first half of the 20th century. It was in Kansas City that I met Andy Parks, whose writing I'd already known. His graphic novels Union Station and Capote in Kansas are both highly recommended, and let me tell you, there's nothing like a drive through Kansas City with Andy at the wheel. As he was pointing out all the local crime landmarks, where the FBI agents were shot outside Union Station, what hotels ran brothels, where the crime boss's racket was run out of, I wondered if the palpable beauty of Kansas City's downtown and the nearly open, crime-ridden aspect of its government in the 1920s had had an effect on Uncle John, and later on his noir writing. But of course it had to, because if you're a writer, it all has an effect. So, Andy Parks has written our noir appreciation this month for another of my favorite movies, and next month I've got Patton Oswalt's piece on a noir I've yet to see. After that, I'll be back with something new, unless one of my vague Hollywood acquaintances wants to pitch in. I'm looking at you, meltdown shoppers. It pays nothing, but your indie cred goes through the roof, trust me. An appreciation by Andy Parks. Touch of Evil. Oh, this is another good one. Lots of good recs here. I love the films of Orson Welles, but I have to admit that watching them can often leave me in a somber mood. While Welles left us with a rich and spectacular body of work, it's hard to forget that there could have been so much more. He is hailed today as one of America's greatest filmmakers, but he only got to finish 6 films within the Hollywood system. Of those 6, it can be argued that only Citizen Kane made it to the screen the way Welles intended. From his follow-up to Kane, The Magnificent Ambersons, to the last studio film he made, Touch of Evil, his films were tampered with, shot on a shoestring budget, or flat-out butchered by studio execs. Ambersons survives today as a minor classic, despite having its third act eviscerated. The version of Touch of Evil that first became a cult noir classic included numerous studio reshoots, edits, and soundtrack changes. Today, thanks to a 1998 restoration, we can see the film as Welles intended, and it deserves the title of the last classic Hollywood noir. Welles supposedly came to the film first as the heavy, let's pause so you can get the requisite Orson fat joke out of your head, and became the director at the suggestion of fellow star Charlton Heston. Welles agreed to make the film, provided that he would be allowed to completely rewrite the script. The execs at Universal obliged, as long as Welles agreed to be paid only his original acting salary. He rewrote the entire script in a 10-day marathon, discarding most of the source material from a novel called Badge of Evil, and enriching his own character's role. The film's plot is, frankly, not all that important, a noir hallmark. By the end of the first shot of the movie, a murder takes place that drives the rest of the story. A corrupt cop, Welles' police captain Hank Quinlan, plants evidence to convict the man he honestly feels is guilty of the murder. The frame-up is exposed by a virtuous protagonist, Heston's Mexican cop, Miguel Vargas, and the corrupt cop is forced over the edge in an effort to save his reputation. The film isn't about any suspect's guilt or innocence. It's about a man, Quinlan, who thinks he can justify any means to prove guilt. Touch of Evil is set in 2 decaying border towns, one in California and the other in Mexico. In fact, shooting was done around Venice, California, a locale Welles uses to its full advantage. Almost every exterior shot features some unique piece of the landscape. The climax is especially noteworthy, with Heston trailing Welles through Venice's canals and bridges. Of course, it's all seen through Welles's uniquely visionary lens. If you mention Touch of Evil to the average cinemaphile, you're likely to hear about 2 things: Charlton Heston playing a Mexican, and the extraordinary opening tracking shot. The former will likely be mocked, and the latter will be heaped with praise. Well, I'm here to tell you that Heston, complete with face paint, cheesy mustache, and questionable accent, is great in the movie. The man is a fucking movie star, and he commands the screen. Maybe he was cast because of his star power, but he is a solid, intelligent leading man, capable of holding the audience's attention even when surrounded by characters so quirky and fascinating that a lesser presence could simply disappear. As for the opening tracking shot, well, it's a great achievement, but it's not the best scene in the movie. In fact, it's not the best long take in the movie. Check out the first interrogation scene set in the suspect's apartment. The tracking shot at the beginning of the film runs about 3.5 minutes, and, while it serves the story and builds tension effectively, it also calls attention to itself. The interrogation scene runs about 5.5 minutes, and puts you on edge along with the suspect without making you realize you're watching what must have been a logistical nightmare to shoot. Janet Leigh plays Heston's wife with class and self-assurance, despite having to play half of the movie in negligee. She's given a chance to show some spunk and self-assurance early on, but she's there as a victim. She may also be one of the world's whitest women, and her character's marriage to a Mexican in 1958 adds some tension to the film on both sides of the border. Wells himself is excellent in the film. He almost buries himself in fake fat. You got another fat joke you want to use here, smartass? And makeup, but his eyes are what really count. They tell you everything about Quinlan's past. Watch his eyes when he realizes he's just taken his first drink in 10 years. It's all there. In the supporting roles, Wells cast an amazing array of character actors, including many members of his stock company. I never tire of Akeem Tamiroff's performance as Uncle Joe Grande, the boss of the local gang and the film's presumptive villain in the first act. He somehow manages to be simultaneously ridiculous and menacing. Dennis Weaver shot for only 3 days, improvising a motel clerk so twitchy and spastic that you think he must have just returned from the future with a large stash of crystal meth. Joseph Kalea is heartbreaking as Quinlan's partner. We also get supporting roles and cameos by no less than Joseph Cotton and Ray Collins, both Citizen Kane veterans, Mercedes McCambridge, really bizarre as a Mexican biker dyke, and, if you don't blink, Zsa Zsa Gabor shows up as a strip club owner. So, the settings are darkly evocative, the story deals with crime, loss, and corruption, and the cast is full of bizarre and dangerous characters, but where are the most crucial noir elements? Where is the flawed, tormented hero? Where is the femme fatale? Heston and Leigh hardly fit the bill. They're too clean, too perfect. Still, the classic noir leads are there. We're just catching up with them about 20 years past their prime. Touch of Evil is Captain Quinlan's story. There's a rich background there, initially hinted at, but seen more and more clearly as Quinlan's decline takes center stage. His wife was murdered by the only man Quinlan could never bring to justice. He's been holding it together for years by putting other men behind bars and substituting the bottle with candy bars. When Quinlan's reputation is threatened by Vargas, though, he stumbles into a joint run by Tana, a Mexican gypsy played by the original femme fatale, Marlene Dietrich. As Quinlan's world starts to unravel, he finds himself drinking again, spending time at Tana's again, sliding back into the dark past. There is a hell of a noir story to be told about the younger Quinlan, an inexperienced cop looking for ways to bury the guilt he feels after his wife's murder. The fact that Touch of Evil is set well after what would normally be Quinlan's noir heyday doesn't deny us a satisfying character arc within the context of the film. He enters as a decaying but still smugly effective cop. By the conclusion, he discovers that he's become capable of destroying the only thing, the only person he still loves. When he attempts to wash his partner's blood from his hands, the only water available is stagnant and filthy. Moments later, Quinlan's body drifts away in the sludge, to be unforgettably eulogized by Dietrich's classic line, "He was some kind of a man." In what may be the last great noir film, Wells gives us a fittingly tragic farewell to a great noir hero. Wells said that filming Touch of Evil was the most fun he ever had as a director. During the shoot, studio executives seemed thrilled, often speaking to him about future projects. When those same execs saw the final product, though, they were horrified. It was too dark, I suppose. Too noir, if you will. Wells was banned from the lot as the studio scrambled to re-edit and rewrite and reshoot. When Wells was finally allowed to see their handiwork, the film no longer reflected his vision. He wrote a 58-page memo which outlined how he thought the work could be saved, but the changes outlined in the memo wouldn't be executed until 13 years after Wells' death. Wells was a visionary to the end. In one of his conversations with Peter Bogdanovich, he predicted, "Oh, how they'll love me when I'm dead." It's true that he is lauded as an artist now as he never was in life. It's true that he spent the last 20 years of his life chasing money to make another film, and it's true that he never saw the last Hollywood film he was allowed to direct put together as he intended. But his Touch of Evil exists for us now, and it's a great conclusion to Hollywood's classic noir era. As legacies go, you could certainly do worse.
All right. We're on what? Number 3? Yeah. So 2 more. This is going to go a little longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. Come on. There we are. You can't see the file shenanigans I'm having to do. It doesn't pick those up, which is for the best. Criminal. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Coward, Part 4, by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors, by Val Staples. I'm not much of a sleeper, usually, which I always figured was because I had too much on my mind. But I hadn't had this much on my mind in years, and somehow I was sleeping. Heavy sleep. One minute I'm lying with Greta in the dark, and the next thing I know, it's noon. For a second, it almost feels like a miracle. She had made my mind quiet. How had she done that? Right then, I knew whatever was going on, it was about more than survival. And I couldn't even remember what anything beyond that felt like anymore. If only I hadn't opened the door and left that room. Ivan? If only I could have stayed there forever. And kept the world out. Hey, old man? What the... Fuck. No. Oh, Ivan, no. Oh, Jesus. Leo. I overslept. So he went looking for something to shoot up. No, listen to me. You did not do this. Didn't I? I brought him here to keep him safe. And then I left him alone with a bunch of uncut heroin. No, you hid it. From you. He knows this house. Knew this house. He was a junkie, Leo. I know you love him, but no one else is to blame when a junkie dies like this. You don't know. Yeah, I do. Remember? That's not what I mean. He wasn't always like this. No one makes anyone else an addict. That's not how it works. This is not your fault. You don't know. Then tell me. I can't. is he doing?
Ah, you don't bump unless you have to. The bump is for amateurs. Marina would kill me if she knew we were teaching him this. Yeah, well, if Marina were still with us, we wouldn't be... Oh, shit. No, you don't bump unless you have to. The bump is for amateurs. Marina would kill me if she knew we were teaching him this. Yeah, well, if Marina were still here with us, we wouldn't be... But the way I see it, Tommy, you've got two choices. Find a new career, or teach Leopold here what we do. The kids living in this world might as well know how to survive in it.
Hey, Uncle Ivan, look!
Oh my god, the kid's a natural.
But you felt it, didn't you?
Just a little, Leo. Just a bit. But you've got the touch. Kid. Stop, kid. Just stop. Listen to me, Ivan. You take care of Leo. Keep him safe. That's all I care about. You just keep him safe.
Dad, no! Dad! You're just gonna bury him out here? Seriously?
It's not like a... Okay. Sorry about that. It's not like I can call the authorities about this. So what do you want me to do?
It seems wrong.
This is how he lived, outside the system. And it's how he dies.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
That's clearly not the case.
He's better off. The way he was living wasn't life.
You don't mean that. God, Leo, you can't mean that.
Don't tell me what I mean. Just because we slept together, don't think you know me.
But I'm trying to, if you'd fucking let me. I'm trying to help.
I don't need help from you, or from anyone.
God damn you. I thought you were different. I thought they were wrong. But now I get it. You aren't afraid of violence or guns or anything like that. But you're afraid to let me in. You fucking coward.
Gaius.
You're leaving? You're just leaving?
This has gone on long enough. I'm gonna find a way to fix it. If I can, I'll get us free of this with some cash in our pockets. Then we can go our separate ways. You can get your daughter and get out of this town like you wanted.
Leo.
Just sit tight for one more day. Can you do that? Please?
Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Shit. Damn it, Leo. What the hell did you do? Fuck.
Frank Kafka, Private Eye, by Jacob K. The G-Man had spent all morning running me through the ringer. I'm telling you, I don't know nothing about that dame being iced. I was hired to find her.
Okay, Frank, then give us the name of your client and we'll verify. That ain't a problem, is it?
My client? That's easy. Why couldn't I remember who hired me? What the hell was happening?
Ring! Ring! Ring!
I'm afraid we can't get to the phone just now, but we do appreciate your call. Leave a message and we'll get right back to you. Beep! Mom? Are you there? Hello? Look, just, if you're there, pick up, really. Pick up the phone, Mom. I know you're probably mad or worried, but just, I need to talk to you. I'm going a little nuts here, going out of my skin. I mean, God, I really screwed up, Mom. I'm such an idiot sometimes.
I think that's her, not him.
And now, I'm thinking about making a worse mistake, and I really don't want to do that. So I just, damn it, I'm not even supposed to be calling you. I just wanted to hear Angie's voice.
You got it.
I'll try back later.
Just give me a second to run it through. Got it. Where the hell are they? Some little farming valley about an hour or two outside town. All right, let's take the picture and then you can call your little bitch Seymour. Smile, baby girl. This is for your mommy. The whole drive back to the city, all I can think is what an ass I was leaving it like that. And when I get tired of thinking about Greta, I beat myself up about Ivan some more. It's a regular pity party, but thankfully no one else is invited. But by the time I get where I need to be, my mind is all on business, where it needs to be. Genuine Jen, long time. Leopold, the man of the hour, late as usual. You look good. I look fucking great, asshole, but you look like shit. Leo, are you carrying? Yeah. That isn't like you. I'm on the way to see a friend. I thought we were friends. The other kind of friend. Oh, the ones that shoot you in the back and take your score. Those aren't friends, Leo. Jenny Waters was one of the original gang, way back in high school. We fell in together because our parents all worked in the same crew sometimes. I guess, thinking about it, our parents were the original gang. We were the next generation. And for most of us, that turned out to be true. But not Jenny. She went in the opposite direction, defiant and proud. Jenny was not only a police detective, she worked internal affairs. She was a pariah in every world she lived in. I didn't see you at Ricky's funeral. You went to that? I watched from my car with a zoom lens. Hell, I would have gone if I'd known that was an option. I lay out my problem for Jenny because when you're dealing with crooked cops, there's no better place to go than IAD. Leo, you fucking idiot, why didn't you come to me before? I don't know, maybe because I'm not an informant. Don't be an asshole. I just didn't see it right, Jen. Thought they were gonna try to muscle us out after. They had a whole other plan, though, obviously. Yeah, Jeff and Driscoll and his crew have been in someone's pocket for a while now. We just haven't been sure whose until recently. But 4 months ago, a scumbag named Delron Krumsky gets popped by Port Authority with a briefcase full of smack. And the next day, Jeff's partner eats his own gun for breakfast. Doesn't exactly take an Oppenheimer to add that up. Delron works for a guy known as Roy L., who was clearly not happy to see his special heroin go bye-bye. Special, higher purity, easier to smuggle, and you can step on it twice as much. Jeff and his boys were supposed to get Delron waved through the security check, but someone forgot to pay off someone, and it all fell to shit. And so Jeff goes scrambling to make sure he doesn't end up like his partner, which is where Seymour enters the picture, and you become the perfect fall guy. What? No. Seymour needed me for the job. Sure, you're good, Leo, but what did Seymour know you'd do? Get away. You always get away. Motherfuck. Bullets start flying, you head for the hills. They take back their skag. Meanwhile, civilians in the tunnel see one of the robbers getting away. So he must have gotten away with the loot, right? Motherfuck. If you hadn't actually gotten away with the loot, every cop in the state would be on your ass. As it is, Jeff screened the wits personally, so the only mock-up they've got looks nothing like you, except for the goatee. I hate this thing, by the way. So, are you planning to swoop all these bad people up and make my life easier? I wish. No, the lieutenant wants us watching, seeing where else this all leads. He's still hoping for some way into Hyde's business. Damn. So, what are you going to do, Leopold? I have no idea, but at least now I know where the shit I'm in came from. That's something. Be careful with this Royale and his people. They'll kill you just for having that suitcase. You know drug dealers and pimps, they're all paranoid. Don't worry about me. I'll survive. I know that. That's the other thing you always do. But how exactly was I going to go about doing this time? I figured I had one angle. Seymour. Much as I hated handing $1 million score to the guy who double-crossed me, he was the one who'd started this, and he'd have to end it. He'd have to take the smack to his people and get them off my back. And if he got paid, then maybe I'd just come back and rob him. That was why I brought the gun Greta had grabbed during the heist. The mood I was in, I wasn't planning to take no for an answer. But his apartment is dark, and I don't need more dead time. More time to think. So I weight my options. Do I go toss the place and then wait for Seymour to come home? Or do I call it a night and head back to the farm? Try to talk to Greta. Try to explain to her why I'm so fucked up.
Yes. Oh, thank God, Leo. Thank fucking God.
It takes me about 15 minutes to find all the money Seymour has stashed around the place. He keeps most of it rolled up inside curtain rods, and it's not much. A few grand. I take it anyway, for my trouble. But I find nothing else of interest. No phone numbers, no handwritten notes. No sign that Jeff or this Royale and his people have ever been here. Also, no sign of when Seymour was last here, or when he'll be coming back. Except for one small, flashing red light. You have one message left today at 3:47 p.m.
Seymour, it's Jeff. Finally got a lead on that package we lost track of.
Leo!
So now you and me and our new friend gotta take a trip out to the sticks.
No.
Come on, man, pick up. Alright, I'm gonna try your cell.
Oh, God. No.
To be concluded. I'll skip the letter call. Oh. Yeah. Another good one. Nothing but good recs in this, as far as I'm concerned. Blast of Silence. Whisper of Rage by Patton Oswalt. I'm not going to try doing a Patton Oswalt voice. I'm not even going to try. Sorry. The quest started in Madison, Wisconsin. It was the late winter of 1992. Prax Gore sent me on it. I was traveling through Wisconsin in a hellish string of comedy one-nighters in life-crisis nightclubs and hotel lounges that kept closing the night before I got there. I spent a lot of time reading in garish motel rooms. I bought a copy of Search's Incredibly Strange Films. Highly recommended. In the Essays section of the book, Prax Gore wrote about an obscure little gangster-slash-hitman film called Blast of Silence. It looks cheap. It sounds cheap. It's great. This was a year before I plunged headlong into my fascination with film noir, which started with the 1993 Film Noir Fest at the Roxy in SF. And I figured, in those sepia-toned days before the internet, before DVDs, before everything being available all the time, that I'd just rent Blast of Silence on videotape and see if Prax knew his stuff. Well, no. Blast of Silence, like the characters in the world it depicts, is a true shadowy obscurity. 12 years went by, during which I became a film geek snob, and no sign of Silence anywhere. So when I found it was on pirated video at Cinephile in Los Angeles, I refused to watch it. I was willing to hold out until it was screened, properly, in a theater. In 2003, my patience paid off. At the American Cinematheque's annual Film Noir Festival, a pristine vault print got screened at the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles. I canceled a gig in San Francisco so I could stay in town and watch it. Here's what I wrote for the website Ain't It Cool News under the pseudonym Mr. Molly. You're cold now. Blast of Silence. Guess what, crime film junkies? Your Carnival of Souls was shown last night at the Egyptian here in Hollywood. That's right. Alan Barron's ultra-rare Blast of Silence had a screening, with the director-slash-star-slash-screenwriter in attendance, dishing his own flick. Made in 1961 for $28,000, Blast rivals Seven, Juggernaut, and Get Carter in the Bleak stakes. The plot is so simple it may as well not even be there. A hitman returns to his old neighborhood in Harlem to complete a contract, but is waylaid by his own personal memories crashing in on him. The Blast in the title refers to his own self-wished death. Schrader and Scorsese must have caught Blast of Silence at some time in their lives, because watching hitman baby boy Frank Bono prowl the night streets is like watching a rough draft of Travis Bickle. The voiceover narration, by an uncredited Lionel Stander, and not Barron, representing a colder, more idealized self-vision of Bono's, sounds like Travis 40 years down the line. The cinematography, by Merrill Brody, who also edited, is crisp, dark, and menacing. Barron pointed out, pre-screening, that they had an early Arriflex, and no dolly. Brody had to weigh the tripod down with bags of sugar. The tracking shots through Madison Square and Harlem are terrific, even more so considering the resources. There's a superlative review of Blast in Re/Search's Incredibly Strange Films, which is where I first read about it back in '91. A 12-year wait for a 77-minute black-and-white crime film? Worth every minute. Barron himself said, after the screening, "I'd give it a 10 for cinematography and a 2 for story." He's wrong. 10s all around, and a plea for someone to put this thing on DVD. What a blast. Luckily, the good folks at RevengeIsMyDestiny.com have a DVD copy available for your perusal. Go get one. Watch it. You'll take a disturbing trip down a forgotten alley from which there is no escape. It's a creepy, tense little cul-de-sac where film noir, personified by whiny, violent baby boy Frankie Bono, wandered down a few years before Kennedy was shot, and the world got so dark that Frankie and his kind got swallowed whole. I saw Blast of Silence, I think, for the first time a couple years back. I think that one was also on Criterion. If you are a cinemaphile, I highly recommend the best streaming service you can possibly get right now, pound for pound, is Criterion Channel. It is very good. I realize that is me shilling, something I don't normally do, but they are well worth your time. Alrighty, let's get this final installment going, and I'll leave you all for the day, and I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow, but whatever, right? Coward. There it goes. Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Coward, Part 5 by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. Oops, I don't want that on screen. Much better. Too late. No matter how fast you no matter how fast you drive, time just stops dead when you know you're already too late. I'd driven from the city to my grandfather's farm hundreds of times, but this time, even with this old heap doing nearly 100 miles an hour, I'm noticing the mountains and the river. I'm noticing the trees. I'm noticing the odometer slowly ticking up. I'm too late. For a minute, when I see no cars parked nearby, I think maybe, just maybe, I'm not. But in my heart, I know the truth. And it's more than I can take. Jesus. No. What did they do to you? I'm sorry, Greta. I'm so sorry about the girl. Delron wasn't easy to convince. The only dope here was that one brick in the upstairs bathroom. You fucking bastard. You didn't have to do any of this. You didn't have to do this. Any of it. Hey, I tried to save her, Leo, I swear. Even though she practically broke my nose with that shotgun. But these guys, you don't know these types of guys. Yeah, I do, Seymour. So they left you here to take care of me? Yeah, told them you wouldn't be any trouble. Not once I showed you this. Is this? Greta's daughter, Angie. Delron's holding on to her as an insurance policy. I guaranteed him you'd give a shit, just like her mom did. The difference being you can hand over the briefcase in exchange for the kid. Hell, he's so fucking exhausted with this shit, I even convinced him to let you walk away. What a friend you are. Don't. Just give me the rest of the fucking heroin. So, this is your life now, Seymour? Stabbing your own kind in the back? Working with psychos? This is just one job that got too messy for its own good. You didn't have to lie to me about the score. You'd have taken a job stealing $1 million in uncut smack from a drug dealer? See? I know you. You think you do. A lot of people do. But you don't know anything. I know you'll do whatever you have to stay alive. And in the world. I know that ever since your dad went upstate, you've been terrified the same thing will happen to you. You know, it's almost funny. Greta, she wanted to know what it was I was so afraid of. And I couldn't tell her, because I've never told anybody who wasn't there. What the fuck are you talking about? It's in the trunk. Can I? Go ahead. Just slow. See, everyone thinks my dad killed Teague Lawless. And I mean, Teague was such a fucking bastard. He deserved what he got. But if my dad had done it, he would have planned it, gotten away with it. He wouldn't have stood around waiting for the cops. Okay, let's see it. And no bullshit. See? So, wait. What are you saying? That you killed Teague Lawless? No way. Way. Fuck! That's what I've always been afraid of, you stupid piece of shit. Of what's inside of me. Rage is blind, and I'm an idiot. The moment Seymour's a corpse, all I can think about is the girl, Greta's kid. No. Damn it. I should have questioned him, but who knows what a face full of gun-cut heroin would have done. He might have been gone anyway before I could get a word out of him. As it is, I get lucky. Luck. Right. Except my luck has never been anything but a curse. Damn it. The volunteer fire department and the county's 2 police cars pass me on their way out to the farm. The fire and the bodies should keep them busy for a while, and give me time to do what I have to in town. The Lark is the only functioning motel in the area, and most of its rooms are usually vacant. Seymour's key is for room 9, and the lights in room 11 are on. My hope is that Jeff and Delron are waiting here with the girl. I just need to make sure before... Just stop your fucking moaning, you little shit! Christ, I can't wait to sell that fucking brat. Hey! He's faster than he looks. Fuck. 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 Fuck you think you were gonna do, pussy? Shoot me? Yeah. You just made the biggest mistake of your short, unhappy life. Gonna gut you like a fucking bitch. Where's my... The one benefit of a painfully acute memory is, once I'm shown something, I remember it. Always. So I remember where to cut a man, which arteries will make him bleed out quick.
Hey!
That was one of the things Ricky Lawless's brother showed us the time he came home on leave. It's easier than I thought it would be, but it's always surprised me how much easier killing is than it should be.
Hey.
Another reason I hate it so much. Ah, shit. Angie, it's okay. Don't scream. I'm not here to hurt you.
What?
Easy, easy. Where's the other man? The black man?
He left. He got a phone call and he...
It's okay. You're safe now. You're going to be safe from now on. But we've got to go, okay?
But who are you? Where's my mommy?
Your mom? I'm a friend of hers, okay? My name is Leo, and I promised Greta I'd take care of you.
You're hurt. You're bleeding.
I've been hurt worse than this before. I make it out of the valley before any of the local law thinks to cut off the roads. But Angie won't stop reminding me how much I'm bleeding at first. Then I let her pick the radio stations, and that pacifies her. The garbage she plays grinds on my nerves, but at least it keeps me awake. I manage to hang on until I get to the undertow, just barely. And thankfully, I know Gnarly cleans up for an hour or two after closing. He calls it his quiet time. I almost feel bad barging in on it. Kid, tell me you still have that awesome first aid kit. Please. Jesus fucking Christ, Leo. What'd you do? Not enough. Yet. Kid. Who's the kid?
I'm Angie. Who are you?
She's Greta's. I gotta leave her with you, Gnarly. What are you talking about? You ain't going anywhere in your shape. It isn't over. You just gotta help me stop this bleeding. Let me rest a while. Leo.
Can you help him, mister? He saved me from the monsters.
Yeah, he's a regular knight in fucking armor. Alright, let's get a look at that cut. Ain't deep, but you shouldn't have driven with this. Stupid fucking kid. Language. Not around the girl. Greta wouldn't like it. Guessing I'm not gonna be seeing her? No one is. No one but me. And I wake from a dream of her in Gnarly's office sometime in the next afternoon, feeling like I've been in a car wreck. I hear Gnarly upstairs with the kid, playing some kind of singing game. I'd laugh about it, but I know it would hurt too much. So I raid the Lost and Found instead. Everything they've taken off morons stupid enough to come in here strapped or who try to sell dope in the bathroom. 2 OxyContins and a few lines of crank should get me where I need to be. And some of the other things in here should come in handy too. I hope Gnarly won't mind, but I don't stick around to ask. Like I told him, this isn't done. Survival isn't enough anymore. What the hell? Jeff is easy to find. Cops usually are. Even one as bent as he is has to punch the clock once in a while. It's all here. Call it even, and let's walk away. It's all here. Call it even, and let's walk away. No harm done. L. I figure the tiny sheriff's department up north will take at least a day to process Delron's prints, since I took all his ID. Fucking pussy. But I still don't have much time. Before Jeff and Royale realize they have no idea who they're dealing with. He leads me right to the gates of hell, and I watch the guard detail as he descends into it. Get your ass in there. Don't fucking touch me. Like most drug kingpins, Royale keeps himself locked up tight, safe, but I see a way. Their flaw is that they're protecting the place against a squad of cops or rivals. It would never occur to them that one man would try to breach their fortress. He'd have to be crazy. Suicidal. Hey, that car's on fire. That your car? Aw, shit! Royale's V! Out of the fucking way, white boy! Shit! The only question now was how many there'd be inside. I hoped they'd all be together with Jeff and Royale, celebrating. Motherfuck me in the ass. You came through. Just a matter of time, Royale. Always was just a matter of time. Where old Delron at? Probably handing off that little girl to the Ivans or being a complete pervert. Alright, let's get this shit over to my girls. Get some return on my investment. Speaking of which, this whole operation has really screwed me, Royale. Internal affairs is all in my business, especially since Larry disappeared. Had to rush back to the city yesterday so they could bitch at me for a few hours. So, what's your point? I need money. I need to disappear myself. This one just got too hot. Money? Your fuck-up made this shit go down. Now you want to get paid again? Far as disappearing goes, well, people know I'm here, Roy. Shit. What people? Part of my brain wakes up and screams at me. Let them kill each other. Just walk away. Frank Kafka, Private Eye. $500 in fines and 1 restraining order later, and I'm out. A restraining order for a dead woman? But nothing makes sense. I did everything right, and yet, why would they give me a restraining order for a dead woman? I'm just as in the dark as ever, searching for a way out. She's alive, isn't she, you bastard? She has to be alive! But I knew the minute I went through those doors there was no walking back out. Because I'm breaking the same rule my father did. And I couldn't stop myself even if I wanted to. Hey, motherfuck! Fuck! Greta was right. I'm not a good shot. That's why I grabbed the Uzi from Gnarly's Lost and Found. With this, you don't have to be good. You just have to aim in the right direction. That's the theory, at least. Shit! Yeah! Fuck! You stupid son of a bitch. What were you thinking? You just saved my life. Fuck.
You.
Looks like you had more balls than brains after all, in the end. What the fuck, Roy? Ain't here no more. Motherfuckers. Dispatch, this is Detective Car 215. Officer needs assistance. I've got a drug-related shooting, multiple victims. And I need a bus, stat. I've been shot.
Detective 215, confirm location. Backup and medical assistance are en route.
125th near the train station. Tell them to look for the fire. Oh, what the...
Jesus. Why? Why didn't you just run? Broke too many rules. And those were your cigarettes. You burned her. I was...
Turns out dying is a lot harder than killing. A lot more painful, too.
Ow.
There's a siren in the distance, like a song calling me home. I still think of Greta, how she'll never hear that call again. But this song is getting louder, starting to scream at me. I can't be here when the song stops. I can't be here. But like I said, dying is harder than killing. Just my luck. The end. The Neo-Noir by Ed Brubaker, Charlie Huston Warren, Ellis, Greg Rucker, Patton Oswalt, Matt Fraction, David Goyer, Charles Ardai. Starting in the mid to late 60s, running through to the mid 70s, there was a brutal era of low-budget crime films that brought the noir into the modern age, with more style and grit and terror and sometimes even humor than had been seen in nearly a decade. It was a time when Hollywood was struggling to connect to audiences in the post-hippie era, after Easy Rider had scattered their expectations across the walls by being a huge hit with almost no budget or plot to speak of. And out of that desperation seemed to come opportunities for artful and experimental crime films, often adapted from novels that were probably too graphic and mean to be adapted in the 40s and 50s. This is the era that spawned Martin Scorsese, and the era where Walter Hill teamed up with Sam Peckinpah to make one of the coolest Jim Thompson adaptations, and one of the best Steve McQueen movies all in one, The Getaway, in case you didn't know. I think it's my favorite era of filmmaking, probably, and I'm not alone. Quentin Tarantino's first films owe as much to this era as they do to Hong Kong films and the French New Wave. And the film that stands out in my mind as one of the most artful and haunting films of the era is Point Blank, starring Lee Marvin, directed by John Boorman. It's one of the most challenging movies you'll ever see. The sound, the editing, even the pacing all demand your constant attention, and no questions are answered for you. It's up to the viewers to decide if Lee Marvin's character, Walker, a Parker stand-in, is a ghost avenging his own murder or a guy out for revenge. It was Boorman's first narrative film, and Lee Marvin had worked out a deal with the studio that he got to personally okay every aspect of the film, from casting to final cut. Marvin then, at the first meeting with the studio heads, handed all that control over to Boorman, and they proceeded to make one of the most compellingly uncommercial crime films in history. If you're a fan of Steven Soderbergh, on the DVD commentary of Point Blank, Soderbergh interviews Boorman about the movie, and admits to copying from the film throughout his career. But the main thing you'll be left with is the echoing footsteps of Marvin as he angrily stomps his way toward the fragile people who betrayed him. This movie is based on the first of the Parker novels, The Hunter, but it isn't too faithful an adaptation. But the thing is, as big a fan of the Parker books as I am, I have never given a shit, because this movie is unforgettable. After thinking about this era of film, I decided to throw a question out to several writer friends of mine to see what their favorite pictures of this era were, and what follows is an edited version of the roundtable discussion that ensued. Charlie Huston? Okay, standard answer. Altman's The Long Goodbye. Archetypal 70s movie making and classic 40s noir style. Squeeze hard and pop out Elliot Gould as Philip Marlowe slouching along and muttering barely audible Chandlerisms in a world otherwise populated by strictly contemporary denizens. Is that Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger as one of Mark Ryel's goons, stripping to his underwear in the background just before Ryel smashes a Coke bottle in his girlfriend's face to teach Marlowe a lesson? Yes, it is. Jim Bouton, former Major League pitcher and famed author of Ball 4 as Marlowe's buddy Terry, who sets the plot in motion and causes all the fucking trouble? Yep, that's him. David Carradine lolling uncredited in a cell with Marlowe? It's him. And lest he be forgotten, Sterling Hayden, the square-jawed, straight-shooting cowboy actor of yore, best known as Johnny Clay in The Killing, and as the dirty police captain Michael Corleone plugs after coming out of the bathroom in that Italian restaurant, which, with much more than just his dick in his hands, gives the single greatest supporting performance ever as Roger Wade, the thinly disguised ghost of Hemingway. To watch Hayden swing his cane about and suck down aquavit from a clay mug while railing against God, man, and his long-suffering wife, is to long to spend long days and nights with the man sailing the globe on the boat he used to take him away from Hollywood when he tired of the place and cashed out. Bizarre and touching beyond all dreams. You can watch it over and over just to count how many times and in how many different versions and settings the title song is played throughout the movie. Warren Ellis. Obviously, you can't do this list without Get Carter. Michael Caine. Long black coat. Shotgun. He's the Terminator from London. Ian Hendry, who started out as a handsome TV hero in Britain until the drink and the hate got to him, loathing Michael Caine for having been made by Alfie when Hendry's Live Now, Pay Later 4 years earlier was ignored. He's not acting. It's etched on his booze-slackened face. He fucking hates Michael Caine. Get Carter is family as poison. You can't escape them, but they'll kill you. Jack Carter's a London villain like the Cray twins, and as inextricably bound as them. People always said the same thing about the Crays. They were psychotic little shits, but they loved their mum. As if that made it all right. Jack Carter's revenge for his brother's death is not only brutal to the point of brain-damaged, soulless surrealism, but brilliantly, it subverts the street fable of the soft-hearted London gangster and gets him killed. Not an hint of redemption, not an ounce of human love, except, maybe, a hint of affection for his brother, a sense of disrespect paid to their family by a common murder. And that's what gets him shot dead on a Newcastle beach in winter. Fucking brilliant. Greg Rucka. I'd argue that the redemptive factor of Get Carter comes from that exquisitely understated moment of Carter watching the Stag film of his niece. I think it's his niece. I can't quite recall, and it's been a while since I've seen it. The fact that he sheds tears is both startling and evocative. And that, to me, is what grounds the film so absolutely. Personal favorite, featuring the recently departed Peter Boyle and starring Robert Mitchum in the lead role, The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Slow-motion car wreck story we've seen a million times. The loser trying to go straight who gets pulled in, worked over, and used up by his so-called friends. Patton Oswalt. Charlie Varick gets better and better each passing year. Shame on Universal for putting on a crappy no-goodies DVD. Someone, hello, Criterion, will realize this. Life is long, and it's pleasant, unless you take more money than you've got firepower to protect. That, at its core, is the message of Charlie Varick. High criminality is organized and reactive. Petty criminals like Varick should knock over podunk banks for small change, and everything is fine. Too bad he rips off a mob drop point. Too bad there's no way to give the money back. Too bad he has to slash and burn the landscape just to get away. Too bad. It's on the film noir family crest. Too bad. Superfly may be one of the most important and prophetic movies of the 70s. The rough blueprint for gangsta culture, one of the few myths co-opted by both whites and blacks, is all here. Superfly is a kung-fuing, clothes-horse, Cadillac-driving, penthouse-living hustler. In the context of his pitiless world, he's a hero. But the soundtrack doesn't agree. Curtis Mayfield's songs are constantly underscoring, comment, and sometimes downright attacking the protagonist. An amazing flick. The Late Show. Sam Spade and Raymond Chandler were tough cookies that were going to survive their times. What sort of old men would they have been in the 70s? Never taking a bribe or payoff, pissing off the powerful, pining for older, better days which would never come. They would have ended up like Art Carney in The Late Show. Battered, disguising fear with crankiness, trapped in bodies that no longer respond to their still sharp minds. Yes, they'd live in a furnished room and take on a case that involves a missing cat. And, of course, the missing cat would lead to murder. But murder done in support of a truly petty, short-sighted, tragic crime. Which, of course, would fuel their outrage at the bland, cowardly half-measures Los Angeles they'd found themselves in. And they'd have to ride the bus. The Taking of Pelham 123. What I like most about this movie is the fact that everyone, even the hijackers, looks ragged out, sleep-starved, poorly fed, and at the end of their rope. The way you feel every day going to your shitty job, and suddenly there's a crisis dropped on top of your head. Walter Matthau's rumpled state of grace actually adds to the tension. How can this distracted, thrown-together tunnel dweller possibly pull it together to stop a massacre? The outfit in Not the Best of the Parker novel is not the best of the Parker novel adaptations, but it's still entertaining. Maybe it's because of the sprawling, kooky cast. Robert Duvall and Karen Black as lovers. Joe Don Baker turning down Cherie North's advances after brutally raping her in Charlie Varick. And, thank God, Timothy Carey growling and sweating. Série Noire is the best adaptation ever of a Jim Thompson novel. Sometimes the door to crime is heart-shaped. This French adaptation of A Hell of a Woman is so scary and sad because he thinks of himself as a wronged hero. It doesn't take much to push him over the edge, a mother trying to rent her daughter for sex in this instance. The film's final scene, where our noir hero sees a fraction of the lattice of doom that fate's constructed for him, and he grabs his beloved and screams hope to the sky, is a man grabbing wreckage on dry land, standing on a sidewalk and trying not to drown. Jason Miller's got these sad, weary eyes in The Nickel Ride. They're the eyes of a man who was an honorable thief but is getting replaced anyway. A loyal soldier in the seedy downtown LA gangster scene, he's just trying to secure a warehouse to store stolen goods for his bosses. You get the feeling that, even if he does pull this off, it won't be enough to save him. So the story becomes this schizophrenic journey of a man going through the motions, while randomly exploding in resentful violence at real and false enemies. The violence seems like as much of a surprise to Jason as it does to his victims. Bleak and fascinating. Matt Fraction. Words can't express how much I love Charlie Varick. First off, it's the movie that gave us Walter Matthau, sexy action hero. He flies crop dusters, he gets fake passports made, he wears some jumpsuits, and he takes the mob for a whole lot of money. Second, Joe Don Baker as Molly, the inscrutable hitman. The less said the better, but if I were to tell you Joe Don Baker had a scene in a whorehouse that would make you love him, you'd probably call me a fucking liar. Then I'd punch you in the face because I swear to God Joe Don Baker has a scene in a whorehouse and it will make you love him. Third, John Vernon, who not only busts the best line in Pulp Fiction here, but somehow manages to play a man more loathsome than both Dean Wormer and Mal Reese combined. God damn, I love John Vernon. Fourth, Boxing the Compass. as a phrase and as a way of life. Charlie Varick is the movie with an ethos to share. Fifth, Andrew Robinson. Siegel clearly loved this guy, and there's nothing about him here, as in Dirty Harry, that doesn't radiate crazy. The minute you see him, you hear the clock ticking down. Just the guy's physical presence puts me on edge. And last, it's a Siegel film, from the man that brought you Dirty Harry. I know this because it says so in capital letters on the Australian movie poster I have from the film that hangs on my wall. Only in Australia, it was called Kill Charlie Varick, with an exclamation point, which is a better title, but still not as good as Siegel's intended title, which was the start of many, many things I've shamelessly stolen from this film. Last of the Independents. Charlie Houston? Mention of Get Carter just set something off. No, it didn't set off auto-regurgitation when it reminded me of Mel Gibson's remake of Point Blank. No, I'm thinking of White Lightning, the Burt Reynolds vehicle and prequel to the better-known Gator. White Lightning exists in a kind of alternate universe to Get Carter, one where, yes, the vengeance-driven protagonist does have an old-fashioned heart of gold, but it doesn't keep him from being a cold bastard when he finds out his brother has been drowned in a swamp by the dirty sheriff in a backwoods county. This is the Burt we should have gotten to grow up with, the one who never tried on that first hairpiece, who never married Lonnie Anderson. Glimpsed here, as in The Longest Yard and a few other pictures, is the Burt that P.T. Anderson saw when he cast him as a pornographer in Boogie Nights. A cracker-ass bootlegger let out of jail by the feds to be used as a pawn in their game against corruption. All he wants to do is drive Ned Betty into the river and watch him drown like his brother did. It's like watching Chuck Heston in his trifecta of Planet of the Apes, The Omega Man, and Soylent Green. All you can do is hang your jaw and ask what the fuck happened to that incredibly cool motherfucker. No, it most certainly is not Get Carter, but it's a piece of work, and then some. Ed Brubaker. The director's cut of the Gibson movie Payback actually comes out in April on DVD, and it's a completely different movie. According to sources who've seen the new cut, it's the closest thing to an actual Parker novel that's ever been made. The blind guy he steals from at the beginning doesn't take off his glasses and reveal that he's a con artist. He actually just steals from a blind guy, and there's no voiceover explaining it to you. It's still Mel Gibson, not Lee Marvin, but you know, he was good in Mad Max and Road Warrior. Matt Fraction. A friend of mine has a bootleg of Hegelin's cut of Payback and says the same thing. It's a Parker novel movie and is totally brutal and uncompromising, and of course Gibson had a fucking heart attack when he saw the cut. Patton Oswalt. I want the Hegelin bootleg. Who do I have to kill? Patton Oswalt, 5 minutes later. The director's cut of the Gibson movie Payback actually comes out in April on DVD, and it's a completely different movie. Damn, I really had my heart set on killing someone. David Goyer.
Night Moves is probably one of my top 10 films of all time, not just top 10 crime films. It came out in 1975. It was directed by Arthur Penn, and it is completely underappreciated. Gene Hackman plays Harry Mosby, a typically dysfunctional private eye who can't let go of his failed marriage. The film also includes early performances by Melanie Griffith and James Woods. Honestly, I actually like the movie better than Chinatown. The direction is top-notch, the script is tight, complex, the acting is brilliant, and the ending is bleak as all get out. I mean, it is fucking bleak. The final scene and final monumentally existentialist shot give me chills every time. I like Get Carter, The Long Goodbye, Point Blank, but I like Night Moves more. Also, bonus credit, awesome crime film, The Silent Partner, written by Curtis Hanson, starring Elliot Gould and Christopher Plummer. Ed Brubaker. I totally forgot Silent Partner. Santa Claus robbing a bank. Doesn't Elliot Gould's girlfriend get her head cut off by a fish tank in that? Patton Oswalt. The Santa Claus bank holdup scene in Silent Partner with John Candy is yummy. Not so yummy, but still brilliant. Is the steam bath beatdown. Charles Ardai. The rest of you clever chaps have named lots of good flicks, which leaves me to suggest the oddballs. How about Walter Matthau and Elaine May in A New Leaf, based on the mordant story by Henry Sleezer? Slizar? Is that a real name? Okay, it ain't Parker, but it's a crime film, and anytime I catch it on cable, I find myself unable to stop watching. Or, as long as we're allowing comedies into the mix, how about the Westlake-inspired The Hot Rock with Redford as Dortmunder? Alright, you'd say you don't want happy, you want noir. How about Mitchum's 1975 Farewell My Lovely, in which I didn't remember a young Sylvester Stallone having a cameo, but IMDb says it was him, so it must be true. And there you have it. A few handfuls of the films from this era, but I guarantee you they won't disappoint, and the characters and stories have a richness and complexity that is sadly missing from most of today's films. And thanks to all my friends for taking time out of their busy schedules and contributing to this piece, because they made it a lot more fun. Anyway, that was Criminal, Coward by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Unfortunately, I couldn't call the stream Coward because I guess that's banned by Twitch. You can't have that in your title. You cannot have the word coward in your title. Part of me is interested to understand why that's the case, and the rest of me doesn't actually care. It allows criminals, so here we are. Baffling stuff. Anyway, that was 5 issues. There are many more. These were what? From, mid-aughts. Mid-late aughts. Feb 2007, yeah. And they're still making them. They take a couple year breaks sometimes because their schedules don't line up, but they do keep making them. But yeah, if you're a crime noir fan, these are absolutely worth it. They're very much a love letter to the genre. Hopefully this taster gets you interested if you care about such things. If you don't, that's okay too. I forgive you, but only if you can forgive yourself. Tomorrow I have no idea what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. I have to actually find where my archive of Astounding Science Fictions are, because where I thought they were, they weren't. So that means they're somewhere else, and I'm going to have to look for it. Anyway, with that, I'll see you all later. Stay safe, stay sane, and be decent to each other. Toodaloo!